The reason your city has a traffic problem is not that too many people live within that city, it's actually the opposite. And I want to illustrate that by showing you some statistics that I heard from Alan Malik when he visited Chattanooga. Specifically this one, where he pointed out that Chattanooga has added almost 20,000 jobs since 2002, but somehow the city has lost close to 4,000 jobs during that same time span. That's because the jobs that were created have primarily been held by people who are from outside the city, commuters. Before we can truly grasp why this is a problem, we're going to need to break down the concept of vehicle miles traveled. The average VMT of an individual within a city or within individual trips taken by an individual are likely the most scientific way to predict traffic in a given area. That is to say, if the average trip that you take is 4 miles, you are causing twice as much traffic than if the average trip you took was only 2 miles. Now hold that thought for a second. I'm going to give you a ridiculous scenario. Imagine if Hamilton County, where I lived, all 74 schools were consolidated into one big school placed downtown, like a 10 million square foot facility or something like that. Every school pickup and drop off would be similar to a literal professional football game letting out. The traffic would be egregious, in part because of the concentration of all the different areas into one small point versus having a lot of different nodes of traffic spread around 74 schools, but also because of the vehicle miles traveled by everyone going to pick up their kid. That is to say, someone 30 minutes away in Ooltewah caused traffic for a 30-minute drive, and so you would see overwhelmed infrastructure that no matter how large you made it would never be able to compensate for those 2 times a day when school was in session and let out. Though that is an absurd scenario, it's actually what's happening on a smaller scale. Instead of lots of little grocery stores throughout your neighborhood, you likely drive further away to one big supermarket. This supermarket is pulling customers from a larger circle, which is creating a large traffic node. This pattern persists for churches and mega churches as they get bigger and we move away from smaller neighborhood gathering. And it literally happens to our schools. It's why school pickup lines are so bad and why bus routes are getting longer and longer. What's driving this regional development pattern is the obsession with certain numbers without consideration to who it's actually helping. That is to say, if we've added 23,000 jobs for commuters, we are exporting wealth to people who are paying taxes that don't go back to our infrastructure. And then our go-to solution is to widen roads until we have 4-lane thoroughfares adjacent to houses cutting through neighborhoods and highways and interstates that are constantly under construction. And whatever temporary alleviation this creates only encourages people from further out in the region to be employed by the city. Now, it didn't always used to be this way. Like, sure, we always had a downtown, but cities used to be decentralized in the sense that you had neighborhood commercial areas, small miniature downtowns, which, if they existed today, would help reduce VMT or vehicle miles traveled, because I could just walk to my favorite haunt or grab groceries around the corner. But as cities look at isolated numbers like jobs created and average household income, what they might miss is the growing disparity they create among people who actually live in the city. My district specifically is incredibly vulnerable to this. Though there have been a few right-sizing projects, we've primarily become a place to drive through rather than a destination at which to arrive at. And we've reduced opportunities for economic upward mobility because despite being in close proximity to downtown, a lot of our lower income constituents don't have access to downtown by way of transit. And if it weren't for the tiendas in the local area, we would be in a veritable food desert as the most recent food city or supermarket closed, as a new one opened downtown. This is why, as I talk to people who say, why do you care so much about cars and transit? Don't we have bigger problems with housing and economic opportunity? These 3 things are directly connected, and they all make up a leg of a stool that I'm going to stand on for my platform as a city council member. It's the people outside the city, not within the city, that are causing the most traffic.